All right, so as I said before, I'm going to be reviewing more games on this channel, and this is going to be the review of What the Car. Now, What the Car is kind of a casual, driving, wacky, physics-based game. It's got some very interesting mechanics, and as I said, it is casual. It's not like Angry Birds or Crossy Road casual. It's more of a gamer's kind of casual game. I would put this as like if you had a tough day and you just want to chill on the couch and put something in that is not going to take itself too seriously, that you can jump right in and do some levels and just have some fun. This is the perfect game for that kind of situation. Like if you're burned out, this is a great game to play because it's not going to get you, it's not going to make you engage your brain that much. It's going to be more skill based and not so much like tweaking RPG mechanics or, dealing with like RTS strategies or what have you. It's very much more like an old school console game. Like there's levels to beat, you beat the levels and you go to the next level and you keep on going through. It's more like that, and it definitely doesn't take itself too seriously. It also has great music, great sound effects. Obviously, the graphics are very nice. The colors are great. It's just kind of a good chill game, casual game. Doesn't take itself too seriously, and you can really enjoy yourself going through these levels. Now, before I get too far into the pros and cons in my review of the game content itself, I did want to look at Steam a little bit, look at the reviews, look at some of the user numbers, and kind of get an idea from that. And then I'll go on to my actual review a little later in the video. So we're gonna just take a look here over on Steam. You can see that it is very positively reviewed. It's only 215 reviews, but it doesn't definitely earns that 86% of the 215 user reviews are positive. The price is definitely right. It's $10. It also is on a bundle with What the Golf, which is the other game that Triband made. That's more of a golf-inspired wacky physics game, but it's the bundle itself is only $13.42. So you're basically getting two games for the price of one there. Definitely worth getting the bundle if you don't have What the Golf and you want to get them both. So other things I can say. It does support controllers. It is Steam Deck verified. It plays very well on Steam Deck for sure. Definitely worth getting this to your library, getting this into your library if you got a Steam Deck, because it's great on Deck. It also works well on Linux, which you would expect if it works on Deck. So that is another thing that's positive in this game. And going down further, let's just take a look at the reviews real quick, because I like to. As you guys probably know, I like to switch to verified Steam purchases over 10 hours. And if you do that for this game, that 86% goes up to 94% of the remaining 18 user reviews are positive. So the longer you play this game, the better the reviews get. So that tells me that there's definitely something to this. And I can attest to that from playing the game myself. The longer you play it, the more you're going to enjoy it, because it doesn't get stale. A lot of these more casual games, they get very samey after a while, and you start to get bored of them. But this one, every episode switches up the mechanics a little bit, or a lot, actually. So you're always being challenged in new ways. The mechanics change quite significantly between episode, and even within the levels inside of an episode, you're not doing the same thing over and over again. They switch it up even within the episode, so the mechanics change inside of an episode. For example, I did the water levels, and the water levels, we'll see some video footage in a little while of that. But those are like, some of them are boats, some of them are fish, some of them are like, all over the place. You're parasailing in one. So there's a lot of different mechanics within that water theme. That the car is not really a car. You're doing a lot of different things with different mechanics to really switch things up, and that is a definite plus in my book. And I think that's why this is happening, where the longer you play it, the more positively it's perceived. So that's the reviews. The other thing we wanted to get into is user numbers, which are not great. The peak was like 267 at launch. It's gone down quite a bit since then, and we're looking at high 30s for the valleys and under 100 now for the peaks. Now, it could break 100 again this weekend. I don't know for sure. The thing that I really want to know is, as this game matures and as people's people get eyes on it and it starts to gain more traction, will it go back up over time? And indie games have the potential to do that, where AAA and even AA doesn't have as much potential, simply because their marketing campaigns have basically saturated the market before it even launches. Whereas indie games, it's not quite the same. Now, if an indie game can get that saturation level higher before it launches, it's better for that game. They obviously haven't managed to do that, but I think that this game deserves more of a player base than it has. And I think that we'll probably see a higher player base down the road as people start to discover this game in Steam. And, we'll start to see those numbers go up. That's my prediction anyway. Now, as far as actual estimations on owners, VG Insights gives it 7.6 thousand. Play Tracker gives it 20.5 thousand. Now, they do tend to over and underestimate quite significantly, so I'd put it probably somewhere in the middle, maybe 12,000, 12 to 15,000 simultaneous, or 12 to 15,000 users. So at least that's my guess. And so those are the numbers. That's what the world is saying about this game. Now, what I'm saying about this game is it is absolutely worth getting. Like I said, it's great for, like, if you're burned out and you just want to chill out and play this game. It's a great casual game to play. In that capacity, it's not gonna sink your time into dealing with stats and engaging your brain too much in that capacity. And it's just a lot of fun to kind of veg out and play this kind of a game. So that's kind of the main audience I can see for this game. The other big audience that I can see for this game is younger gamers. So if you have kids, this is a great game for kids. It doesn't have anything questionable in it. It's pretty much what you see is what you get. It's a goofy car with some bears running around that you can run into, and they, make noises and stuff, and it's hilarious. And kids would get a kick out of this game, and it's definitely geared towards them. It's not too hard, which is actually a con of mine. I think that it could have been more challenging, but in the capacity of being a kid's game, being a younger gamer's game, this is a perfect game for them. It's very well polished. It's very smooth. It's not going to give them any trouble as far as getting into it. Just a great all-around game for younger gamers. So those are the two main audiences I can see, just keeping it in your library for that day when you're just feeling like a chill game to play. This would be the perfect game for that. And like I said, for younger gamers, this is just fantastic. I mean, it is laid out like Super Mario Brothers. It's laid out like a Mario game, so they're not gonna get too lost in it, and it'll just, it's not too challenging for them. It's perfect. So those are definitely the audiences I can see. As far as pros go, the mechanics, like I said, are always changing, and that gives a good amount of variety. That's a big pro in my book. The colors, the graphics. The music is great. The sound effects are great. It's very well polished. There's no choppiness to it. There's no like the music doesn't cut off in weird ways. It's very smooth. It's very well polished. It's very well orchestrated. It just feels very smooth going through the game. Nothing is jarring. And I think that level of polish is not something you see very much, especially in indie games. And so kudos on them for making such a well-crafted game in such a way. The other positives I can see, the level editor is definitely a plus. Having other people's levels in the map to be able to just jump in and play their levels is great. Now, it's not required. You don't have to play other people's levels in order to progress the story, which is also great. But it's a great little bonus to be able to add that in. The other additional thing that isn't required is the skull levels. Now they're in an area, usually in the episode you're on the overmap. It's an area that's tougher to get to, and those levels are very much more challenging than the normal levels. They're not required, but they are more challenging. It's not probably something that the younger kids would want to play, but it's something that adds that extra level to the gameplay, and I think that's great because older gamers, adults would want to have something more challenging, and skull levels do bring that to the table. I think they could be more challenging, and that actually brings me to my cons. The first one is that this game could be far more challenging, especially the skull levels. I think having that balance for the younger gamers is smart. I think that is very admirable to keep it accessible to them. But I think those skull levels could be much more challenging, and I think there could be more skull levels just to give older gamers more of a challenge, because I feel like there should be. I should have had to have more attempts to beat those levels, and they were just too easy for me. And I'm not like gamer extraordinaire by any stretch, so for me to say that, that's really saying something. The other thing I think is a bit of a con is that the level editor could be improved upon. I think there needs to be more options. I think it needs to work a little better. I think it needs to be more clear how the mechanics of that work. I think if those improvements got made, you'd see a lot more interesting user-defined levels, and you'd see a lot more user-defined levels, user-built levels, than you do. And I think that would just make the game overall better. It would bring a lot more to the table and give a lot more options to people to extend their gameplay beyond the original story, the original developer included content. And then I guess the last thing would be that it could stand to be longer. I think the main story arc was a little too short for my liking. It just seemed like it ended too quickly. And I mean, I guess that's a good thing, because I was engaged enough that I thought, I really want more of this game, which luckily enough, they are working on that. They do have 2 more episodes beyond the end of the story. They have episodes 8 and 9. Now, I think if there was 10 episodes in the core story, I think that would have been a little better than 7. And then added, 11, 12, 13, and 14 on after that, like continued to add more episodes up past 10. I think that would have been a little better, but who knows? I mean, even if there were 10 and I got to the end of 10, and I probably still would have thought it was too short, because I was, really into it and I really enjoyed playing it. So I guess just being a little longer would have been good. And like I said, they are working on it with other episodes with more content. There's bonus content being added. And then on top of that, there are the user-created levels that you can play to your heart's content. And you can make your own, challenge your friends to levels. That's something that we used to do back in the day as gamers. We used to, for us, it was real-time strategy games. So it was like Stronghold Crusader. It was like Red Alert. We would make our own maps and fight each other on our own maps. So, having that aspect to this, having other gamers that play this game along with you, like somebody else in your friend list, you can send them some levels. Be like, yo, check this level out and see if you can beat it. And, that's another kind of vector of gameplay for this, or at least potential vector for people if you want to get more social with it, more involved with your friends. So, there are pros, there are cons, and I guess that brings us to the end of this review. So what I want to do is I want to actually give this a score out of 10, and I think that this game is going to get an 8 out of 10 from me, because there are some cons, but this is a very fun game. It's very enjoyable, and for a casual game, I think it's well worth it to add this to your Steam library. And you can't beat the price. For $10, there is a lot of content to enjoy, and like I said, 8 out of 10. Now, 10 out of 10 is going to be a very rare thing for me, even a 9 out of 10. So for this game to get an 8 out of 10, that is a very well-polished, well-crafted game that is a whole lot of fun to play. It's not something that I'm going to give out to any old game. So that's why I give it an 8 out of 10, because I really did enjoy playing this game, and it's a lot of fun, and it's well worth it. For the $10, you can't go wrong. Even if it was 20, you couldn't go wrong. So there you go. That's the review for What the Car. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you like these kind of reviews, give it a thumbs up, and I will talk to you guys later.